the desert was silent. For centuries, the endless dunes had stretched without end, a golden ocean under a burning twin sun. The wind howled softly, shifting waves of sand, but nothing lived here, or so the galaxy believed. From orbit, alien scouts watched with lazy confidence. Their commanders laughed at the idea of Earth soldiers trying to survive in such a wasteland. Humans are weak, they said. Their bones will break in this heat. Their machines will sink in the sand. But that night, the desert itself moved. At first, it was only a vibration, a deep rumble under the dunes. Birds scattered from jagged black rocks on the horizon. The scouts checked their sensors, nothing unusual. Then the sand erupted. Something vast rose from beneath, a massive machine. Painted in dark blue steel, pushed itself up through the dunes. Its treads crushed the sand. Its heavy cannon turned like an eye, searching for prey. The machine carried a symbol burned into its armor, a skull with wings. Humanity's mark. Another machine appeared. Then another. And another. Dozens of war tanks rose from their hidden bunkers, rolling forward in perfect formation. Their engines thundered like storms, sending shockwaves across the desert. Clouds of dust followed in their path, creating a wall of smoke so thick it blocked the horizon. The alien scouts froze. This was impossible. Humanity was supposed to have no fleet here, no armies on this world. Yet now, an entire armored division marched out of the sand itself. Inside the lead tank, Commander Reza Khan watched the desert ahead. His voice was calm, steady, almost cold. Engines at full. Maintain formation. No signals. Let them fear the silence. Human soldiers sat inside the steel beasts, silent shadows behind glowing screens. They had trained for years in deserts harsher than the Sahara, Nevada, the red dunes of Mars. For them, this was no wasteland. It was home. Far above, the Alien Council's spy ships struggled to capture clear images. Dust storms and signal jamming made their data useless. All they managed to transmit were fragments, blurry shapes. Giant shadows, a skull painted in fire, and in the council chamber orbiting the alien capital, ambassadors of many species argued and shouted. Some said it was an illusion, human trickery. Others felt the old, cold grip of fear. For centuries, humans had been mocked as fragile creatures from a death world no one cared about. But fragile creatures did not build fleets like this. Back in the desert, the human tanks climbed the ridges of sand like predators on the hunt. Their weapons tracked the horizon. The alien scouts tried to retreat, engines screaming as they lifted off into the hot sky. But one by one, their signals cut. On Earth, hidden deep inside a command bunker, a row of generals watched the battle feeds. Static, dust, fragments of enemy transmissions. Then silence. Commander Reza's voice came through, steady as stone. First contact complete. The desert fleet is in motion. The alien scouts never returned. Their last transmissions reached the council as broken whispers. Machines. Too many. Rising. They are here. The chamber fell silent. Thousands of alien eyes turned to the hologram at the center. The sandstorm twisted, and inside it moved a shadow shaped like an army. The ambassador of the Corps, a reptilian empire that had mocked humans for decades, hissed in disbelief. They cannot survive the desert. Their machines cannot match ours. But the ambassador of the Alari, an old and cautious species, spoke softly. Perhaps we were wrong. Perhaps they have prepared for this moment longer than we know. The chamber erupted in chaos. Armies were ordered, fleets deployed. Yet in their hearts, unease grew. Because if the humans had built this fleet in secret, what else had they hidden? Back in the dunes, the human desert fleet advanced. The setting twin suns cast long shadows across the sand, making the war machines look even larger, almost alive. They did not speak, did not broadcast, did not boast. They simply moved forward unstoppable. The wind howled louder. The dunes trembled under the weight of steel. And in the silence, the truth became clear. Humanity had turned the desert into a weapon. The alien commanders still believed they could crush this new army. They did not yet know that this was only the beginning. The first clash was coming. The desert was no longer silent, and then suddenly the screen cut to black, leaving only one line of text glowing in the darkness. They are here. The council chamber was never silent. 1,000 voices from 1,000 species usually filled it, targuing, mocking, boasting. But tonight, silence pressed down like a weight. The hologram still flickered at the center of the chamber. Dust, static, broken signals. Then that final whisper from the doomed scouts, "They are here." The alien leaders stared. Some with wide eyes, others with narrowed suspicion. A few laughed nervously, trying to push away their fear. Ambassador Ziver of the Corps slammed his claws against the polished table. His scaled face twisted with rage. Lies. Tricks. Humans cannot command fleets. They are a primitive race. They crawl from their mud ball, begging for scraps. This is a fabrication. Across from him, Ambassador Liera of the Ilari tilted her silver-feathered head. Her voice was soft but sharp. Fabrication does not erase scouts. 5 ships entered the desert. None have returned. A ripple of unease moved through the chamber above them. A new hologram lit up. A grainy image shadows of blue war machines cresting the dunes, skull insignias gleaming, dust clouds rising like storms. The image froze. Distorted, incomplete, yet undeniable. One by one, alien voices rose in panic. Impossible. They were supposed to be weak. No fleet could hide in such a place. The High Speaker of the Council, an elder with glassy skin, raised a trembling hand for silence. The humans were exiled to the edge. We denied them fleets. We denied them colonies. How? How did they build this? No answer came. Only more questions. Then General Thrax, commander of the Valen Armada, spoke with confidence. His armored mandibles clicked as he leaned forward. They may have tanks. They may have machines. But this is desert. Harsh and cruel. Their engines will choke. Their armor will melt. We will deploy a division at dawn. The humans will burn. A roar of agreement rose from half the chamber. The other half whispered doubt. Ambassador Lar's eyes gleamed in the dim light. Do not underestimate them. He saw the way they rose from the sand. That was no accident. They waited. They planned. They knew we would come. The chamber shook as fleets were ordered into motion. Alien warships launched from orbit, their hulls glinting like knives under distant stars. Massive carriers prepared to drop armies into the desert world, but far away. Under the burning suns, humanity was already moving. In the dunes, Commander Reza Khan studied his tactical display. The sandstorm blurred the sensors, but he knew what was coming. The alien fleets were deploying. The sky would soon be full of ships. Inside his tank, the crew worked in silence. Dust coated their armor, sweat streaked their faces, but their eyes burned with determination. They had trained for this moment since the day Earth had been mocked, pushed aside, denied a seat at the council orders. Asked his driver, voice steady. Reza's lips curved into a grim smile. We let them come. Let them think the desert belongs to them then. We take it from them. Above the dunes, alien scout drones buzzed like insects, trying to track the human fleet. But each time they neared, static swallowed their signals. Some returned, shattered by rail rounds they never saw coming. Others vanished into the storm. The aliens could not see the humans clearly. They only saw shadows. Shapes that seemed larger than they were. An endless army rising from the sand. Fear grew. Back in the council chamber, another report came. An alien officer stumbled into the room, armor scorched, voice trembling. Our division advanced into the dunes and vanished. No survivors, only silence. Their tanks. They move like ghosts. The chamber erupted in chaos. Ambassadors screamed at one another. Generals demanded reinforcements. The High Speaker slammed a fist against the table, shattering crystal. Enough. We are the Council. We are the masters of this galaxy. Humans will not defy us. Deploy the fleets. Crush them under fire and sand. The order echoed across the stars. Hundreds of warships prepared for descent. Alien soldiers filled transports, their armor gleaming, their weapons glowing. The desert world would soon be drowned in fire. But no one noticed the faint signal pulsing from deep under the sand. A signal not alien, not ancient, but human. A hidden transmitter, buried for decades. Waiting to be awakened, Commander Reza glanced at the faint light blinking on his console. His eyes narrowed. They've seen only the surface. They have no idea what waits below. The desert fleet rolled on. Dust clouds rose higher. Engines thundered louder. Across the horizon, faint shapes of alien ships descended, breaking through the storms. The first clash was moments away, and then static filled the airwaves. A distorted alien voice broke through the storm, trembling with disbelief. Entire division. Gone. Not machines. Not tanks, they are. Something else. The signal died. In the council chamber, silence fell again. Alien faces turned pale, scales turned dull, feathers drooped. For the first time in centuries, the council felt something they thought forgotten. Fear. The alien fleets entered the atmosphere, ready to burn the desert. The humans waited, hidden in the sand. And beneath it all, something older and more powerful pulsed awake. The desert was no longer a battlefield. It was a trap. The desert was quiet again, but it was not peace. It was the pause before a storm. High above, alien warships gathered in orbit. Their hulls gleamed with cold light, weapons armed, soldiers waiting. From the Council's perspective, it was already decided humanity would be crushed under overwhelming firepower. But far below, buried under the sands, humanity's real strength stirred, deep inside a hidden command bunker. Far beneath the dunes, glowing screens lit up the faces of human generals. The air smelled of dust and machine oil. A giant holographic map displayed alien fleets descending through the atmosphere. General Mara Sa stood at the center. Her uniform was plain, her eyes sharp as blades. She had seen wars before, but never one like this. Around her, younger officers worked their consoles, monitoring sandstorms, troop movements, and enemy patterns. One of them looked up nervously. "General, they outnumber us 50-1. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to her. Mara's lips curled into the faintest smile. Numbers are nothing. Desert teaches that. On the walls of the bunker, projections shifted scenes of Earth's past training grounds. The Sahara, burning under a 100-degree sun. Nevada's endless stretches of dust and stone. The Martian dunes where oxygen was scarce. The ice deserts of Titan where soldiers froze but endured. Humanity had trained in every hell they could find. While the Council mocked them, while alien empires laughed, Earth's armies had prepared. "Aliens think deserts kill machines," Mara said. "They forget humans come from a death world. We were born where nature tried to kill us every day. Sandstorms, heat, hunger. We learned to fight in it. We learned to use it." She gestured at the hologram. The blue icons of the human desert fleet began to shift, splitting, vanishing into the dunes. They see tanks. They see machines. But what they face is Doctrine. Our Doctrine. Out in the dunes, Commander Reza Khan's fleet moved silently. The massive tanks seemed to vanish behind waves of dust, their engines muffled by carefully engineered sound baffles. Soldiers spoke little, their training guiding every move. Each machine was more than steel and cannon. It was a ghost in the sand. Aliens believed battles were won by brute force. Humanity believed battles were won by patience, by traps, by bleeding the enemy until fear made them collapse. Reza's voice came through the coms, calm and steady. "Remember your training. Move with the storm. Fire only when it counts. Let them think the desert itself is alive." The crews responded with silence. They did not need words. Far above, alien commanders laughed in confidence. Their carriers opened, dropping thousands of soldiers into the desert. Walkers with plasma cannons thundered as they hit the ground. Shaking the dunes dot from orbit, The alien General Thrax sent a broadcast to all fleets: crush them. Leave nothing. The desert belongs to us. But the desert had already chosen its master. The first alien division marched across the sands. Sensors scanned. Drones flew. They saw nothing. Only dunes. Only storms. Then a shadow moved. A massive blue tank rose from the sand, firing a rail round that split the air with a thunderclap. The lead alien walker exploded, its burning wreckage collapsing into the dunes. Before the aliens could react, more shadows emerged. Tanks rose, fired, and vanished again into dust clouds. The desert itself seemed to spit out human war machines. Panic spread across the alien lines. Their sensors jammed, their vision blurred. Every dune seemed to hide death. One alien officer screamed into his cums. They strike from nowhere. They are everywhere. But no help came. Inside his command tank, Reza watched the chaos with cold eyes. He remembered every insult, every sneer the Council had spat at Earth. Weak, fragile, worthless. Now, the galaxy would learn otherwise. He spoke softly, almost like a prayer. This is for Earth. This is for every laugh, every scar. Humanity rises. His fleet thundered forward, vanishing once more into the storm. In the Council chamber light years away, reports poured in. Alien divisions wiped out. Entire battalions gone without a trace. Some officers swore they fought ghosts. Others claimed the sand itself swallowed their armies. The Council erupted in fear and rage. Ambassadors screamed for vengeance. Generals demanded more fleets. But in the silence between their arguments, one truth lingered. Humanity had prepared for this war long before the Council ever realized. And the desert was only their first lesson. As the alien fleets descended in greater numbers, one of their walkers collapsed in flames, revealing something buried deep in the sand. A glowing beacon pulsed, ancient and powerful, waiting to be awakened. The aliens panicked. The humans smiled. The desert was only the beginning. Night fell on the desert. The twin suns dipped beneath the horizon, leaving the dunes wrapped in blood-red twilight. Then, as stars burned above, darkness swallowed the land. But the silence did not last. Alien ships screamed down from orbit, their engines splitting the night. Massive walkers with glowing plasma cannons landed hard, shaking the earth. Artillery unfolded like steel beasts, each weapon tall as a tower. Thousands of alien soldiers poured from carriers, their eyes gleaming with fury. General Thrax, sitting in the command bridge of his flagship, sneered at the sight of the desert below. Now, he growled, crush them. Burn them alive. Show humanity what it means to defy the Council. Alien war horns echoed across the dunes. A wall of light filled the night as plasma artillery fired in unison, scorching the sand into glass. The desert burned blue and white, taut to the aliens. The battle seemed over before it began. No army could withstand such fire. But then, the dunes moved. Hidden beneath a storm of sand, the humans struck. From the shadows, tanks rose like steel giants. Their rail cannons roared, each shot splitting the night with a thunderclap. The first alien walker fell, its legs torn apart, collapsing into the burning dunes. Then another. Human tanks vanished just as quickly, diving back into dust storms, leaving only smoke and fire behind. Alien soldiers fired wildly, their plasma bolts lighting the night but hitting nothing. Commander Reza Khan's voice cut through the cums, calm as stone. Strike. Disappear. Let them choke on their own fear. The desert obeyed. Alien divisions tried to regroup. Sensors scanning, drones buzzing overhead. But the sandstorm blurred everything. Every movement became a phantom. Every shadow looked like an army. An alien captain shouted orders. They are few. They cannot last long. Push forward. His words died as a tank erupted from the ground behind him, cannons blazing. The alien column shattered in a single strike. Survivors ran, stumbling into dunes that seemed to shift beneath their feet. Some swore the desert itself was alive, hunting them. Inside her hidden bunker, General Mara Saeed studied the holographic feed. Red alien icons blinked out one by one, entire divisions erased. She gave no smile, no cheer. Only focus. This is Doctrine, she said softly. Not numbers. Not brute force. Patience, precision, fear. Her officers nodded in silence. They all knew. Every alien killed here sent a message. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the storm. As the battle raged, the ground suddenly trembled. Not from artillery. From something older, deeper, an alien walker collapsed in flames, its wreckage sliding into the dunes. Beneath it, the sand split open, revealing a strange light pulsing in the darkness below. A beacon, it glowed with an unnatural blue, rhythm steady like a heartbeat. Buried beneath the desert for decades, maybe centuries, alien soldiers froze, their weapons lowered, eyes wide with fear. One officer's voice cracked across the comms. High Command, there is something under the sand. It is not human. It is not ours. Panic rippled through their lines. Some thought it was a doomsday weapon. Others believed it was an ancient curse, but the humans knew. Commander Reza stared at the blinking light on his console. His voice was calm, steady, almost cold. Target confirmed. Phase 2 is ready. Above the battlefield, alien warships unleashed another wave of fire, scorching everything below. Yet even as dunes turned to glass, human tanks emerged from new angles, striking with impossible accuracy. Alien commanders shouted, their voices full of rage and fear. They fight like ghosts. How can so few do this? But humanity was not fighting with numbers. They were fighting with patience, with traps, with knowledge of every grain of sand. Every alien step was expected. Every alien shot was wasted. And now, with the beacon uncovered, the real trap was about to spring. In the council chamber, light years away, ambassadors screamed at one another as reports came in. Alien fleets burned. Entire divisions wiped out. And now, this mysterious beacon buried in the desert? Some demanded retreat. Others demanded total annihilation. The High Speaker slammed a fist on the table, his voice shaking the chamber. Destroy it. Destroy them all. Leave nothing standing. Fleets doubled their fire. Carriers unleashed wave after wave of reinforcements. The desert glowed with fire and death. But even through the storm, the beacon pulsed stronger. Alien soldiers gathered around the beacon, terrified yet drawn to its glow. Human tanks closed in, engines rumbling through the night, and far above, in the blackness of space, a shadow began to appear. A warship, not alien, human, descending through the stars. The beacon pulsed like a heartbeat. Blue light cut through the dust and fire, glowing brighter with each passing second. Alien soldiers stood frozen around it, weapons shaking in their claws. Some backed away in fear, others shouted warnings. But none dared to touch it. Above, alien warships rained fire across the dunes. The desert shook with thunder. Yet through the chaos, the beacon continued to pulse. Come, steady, eternal. Commander Reza Khan's voice cut through the storm on human comms. They found it good. Now, it begins. His tank rolled to a halt at the top of a dune. Behind him, lines of armored vehicles emerged, their engines growling like predators in the night. Soldiers watched the beacon through dust-caked visors. They knew what it meant. This was no accident. It was the trap. Far away in the human command bunker, General Mara Saeed stood over the holographic display. The pulsing beacon flickered at the center of the desert map. Alien fleets closed in from every direction. An officer whispered, almost afraid of the truth. General, they'll think it's a weapon. Mara's eyes did not leave the screen. Good. Fear makes them reckless. Fear makes them blind. She turned to her staff. For years they mocked us. They said humans had no fleets, no empire, no strength. Now they will learn. The desert is not empty. It's ours. And they've walked straight into it. Her words carried no joy, only steel. This was not just a battle. It was vengeance. In orbit, alien generals shouted over one another as reports streamed in. The beacon terrified them more than the human fleet itself. Was it a weapon? A transmitter? A relic from some ancient race? No one knew. But every alien commander agreed on one thing. It had to be destroyed. Armadas adjusted their course. Carriers released more troops. Plasma cannons targeted the beacon with precision. General Thrax snarled, his mandibles clashing. Erase it. I don't care what it is. Erase it and humanity with it. The desert lit with fire. Plasma rained down, striking the sands with deafening booms. Dunes exploded, storms of glass shards rising into the night. Alien infantry advanced in massive waves, pushing toward the beacon, firing at shadows that slipped in and out of the storm. But humanity was waiting. Hidden rail cannons fired in perfect timing. Tanks appeared, fired, and disappeared again. Soldiers unleashed guided rockets that struck with brutal accuracy. Alien formations broke apart under invisible strikes. Panic spread through their lines as the beacon's glow grew brighter, cutting through smoke like a rising star. One alien soldier screamed over open comms, "It's calling something." The sand itself is alive? Moments later, his signal cut. Inside his command tank, Reza watched the chaos unfold. He had no smile, no laughter, only focus. His crew waited for orders, eyes locked on him. "Hold the line," he said quietly. "The desert will do the rest." His words proved true. The beacon pulsed once more, and this time, the ground itself trembled. The sand shifted, dunes collapsing, as if something massive stirred beneath. Alien troops screamed, stumbling as the earth shook beneath their feet. Then, silence. The aliens aimed their weapons at the beacon, ready to fire again, but the sky changed. Far above, shadows emerged from the stars. At first, they looked like meteors, streaking through the atmosphere. But as they drew closer, their shapes grew sharper, larger, impossible to mistake. Warships, not alien, human. Their black holes burned red with re-entry fire. Massive engines flared, cutting through the sky. Cannon barrels lined their flanks, glowing with energy. They descended like gods of war, blocking out the stars. The alien fleets froze. "What? What is this?" One commander stammered. The answer came in the form of a transmission. Broadcast across the desert, across the skies, across the Council's channels. A human voice, calm and cold. "This world is ours. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. And to those who mocked us, this is your lesson." In the Council chamber, silence fell once again. Ambassadors stared in horror as holograms displayed the descending human armada. For decades they had laughed at Earth's weakness. Now, the truth was burning above them. The High Speaker whispered almost to himself, "This is not possible. They were never meant to have fleets." But it was too late. Humanity had arrived. On the battlefield, alien soldiers stared up in terror as shadows of human warships filled the night sky. The beacon pulsed brighter than ever, guiding the fleet's descent. Reza watched from his tank, eyes gleaming in the dim light. "Now," he whispered, "the desert meets the sky." Engines roared. Cannons charged. Humanity's fleet entered the war. As the first human warship broke through the clouds, its cannons glowing with power, alien troops panicked. Fleets scrambled in orbit. The desert lit with fire. The war had grown larger than sand and steel. Humanity's. The desert fleet was no longer alone. The Armada had come. The night sky was no longer dark. It burned. One by one, massive human warships tore through the clouds, their hulls glowing red from re-entry. Each vessel was a city of steel, armed with weapons the Council had sworn Earth would never possess. Their cannons glowed like stars, their engines thundered like the voice of gods. The desert below froze. Alien soldiers stopped in their tracks, eyes wide, jaws trembling. They had come to fight tanks. They had come to crush a ground army. But now, above them, An entire fleet descended, warships so vast they eclipsed the twin moons. Commander Reza Khan stood atop his tank, helmet off, face illuminated by the falling fire. Dust whipped around him, but his gaze never wavered. "They thought the desert was our limit," he whispered. "Now, let them see the sky." The first human warship landed low in the atmosphere, shadows stretching across miles of dunes. A deep voice echoed through open combs, cold and calm. "This is the fleet of Earth. Humanity stands." Then the cannons fired, blue beams of energy cut through the night, striking alien carriers before they could deploy. Entire warships cracked apart in orbit, their burning wreckage falling like meteors. Alien formations broke instantly, panic spreading faster than orders could be given. From the desert, human tanks roared in answer, their cannons synchronizing with the Armada above. Rail rounds tore through alien walkers. Missiles streaked upward, guided by the ship's targeting arrays. The sky and ground became one storm of fire. General Thrax's voice screeched across alien comms, filled with fury and desperation. "Do not retreat. Fight them. Fight them." But his armies were already crumbling. High above, the Council's fleets tried to regroup. Dozens of alien destroyers formed a wall, cannons blazing. Plasma fire lit up the void, carving through the darkness. But the human ships were faster, sharper. Shields absorbed the first strikes, then retaliated with precision that tore holes straight through alien lines. The alien wall shattered in minutes. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. Ambassadors screamed over one another, demanding answers no one had. The high speaker shouted for calm, but his voice broke under fear. "They were not meant to have ships. We restricted them. We controlled them." But the holograms told the truth. Humanity's fleet was real, and it was winning. Back in the desert, soldiers cheered as streaks of fire lit the sky. Alien wrecks crashing down like falling stars. Yet Commander Rez's voice kept them steady. "Do not celebrate. Not yet. This is only their first wave. They will send everything." His words were true. On the horizon, where alien warships broke through orbit, their numbers doubling, then tripling. Carriers opened, spilling endless streams of troops into the desert. The ground shook as walkers landed in waves, each larger than the last. General Thrax, still alive aboard his flagship, pointed at the human fleet with blazing eyes. "Bring the Armada down. If it costs every ship, every soldier, we will erase them." The desert skies filled with fire once more. General Mara Said, watching from her command bunker, leaned close to the holographic map. Human and alien icons collided across the display, flashing red and blue. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp as blades. "They will throw everything, and that is what we want." Her officers looked at her in shock. "General, if they bring their full strength, we'll be outnumbered 100-1. Mara's voice never wavered. "Good. The trap is not finished. Let them come closer. Let them believe they are winning." On the battlefield, the clash became apocalyptic. Alien plasma scorched the dunes, turning sand into rivers of glass. Human rail rounds split the night, piercing carriers and walkers alike. The air trembled with thunder, smoke, and fire. Yet through it all, the beacon pulsed brighter. Its rhythm grew faster, louder, as if answering the chaos. Alien officers saw it and panicked. "It's summoning more. It's summoning something." But no one could stop it now. Commander Reza raised his binoculars. Above the smoke, the largest alien fleet yet descended, an ocean of ships blotting out the stars. Soldiers around him tensed, fear flickering in their eyes. Reza lowered the binoculars, his voice steady as ever. "Hold the line. The desert fleet stands. We fight until the last." But then, a new transmission cut across human comms. It was General Mara herself. Her voice was sharp, final. "Commander Reza. Phase 3. Deploy it." Reza's eyes narrowed. He turned to his crew. "You heard her. Open the sand." The beacon's glow flared, so bright it drowned out the night. The ground shook violently, dunes collapsing as something massive began to rise from beneath. Alien soldiers screamed. Alien fleets opened fire on the desert itself, and the humans smiled. Because the desert had been hiding more than tanks, it had been hiding something far worse. The desert was fire. Blue plasma carved the sands into rivers of glass. Rail rounds split the sky with thunder. The ground shook as titanic walkers clashed with hidden tanks. Above it all, alien fleets rained death from orbit, while humanity's armada fought desperately to hold the line. The night had become a storm of war. Alien numbers seemed endless. Each time a human tank destroyed a walker, 3 more landed. Each time a warship fell from orbit, another took its place. The sky was full of burning wreckage, the dunes full of broken steel, and still, humanity fought on. Commander Rezakon's desert fleet formed a wall of firepower. Tanks lined the ridges, engines roaring, cannons glowing white-hot. Soldiers fought from every dune, refusing to yield a single step. Alien troops charged in waves, their weapons spitting fire, but the humans held. For every soldier that fell, another rose to take their place. Rez's voice echoed through Cums, steady as stone. "Hold the line. No retreat. This desert belongs to us." His soldiers answered with silence. Their courage written in the thunder of their guns, above humanity's armada fought like lions surrounded by wolves. Human warships darted between alien destroyers, their cannons unleashing beams that tore fleets apart. Yet no matter how many alien ships burned, more kept coming. General Mara Saeed watched the battlefield hologram from her bunker. Blue icons or fleets were shrinking. Red icons alien forces covered the map like blood. An officer whispered, voice trembling, "General, if this continues, we will be overrun." Mara's eyes stayed locked on the pulsing beacon glowing at the heart of the desert. Her voice was cold, unshaken. "Not yet. They still believe they can break us. Let them. When the line cracks, we unleash it." Her officers exchanged fearful glances. None dared ask what it was. The alien high speaker watched from the council chamber, trembling with rage. Holograms showed dunes burning, fleets clashing. Human warships holding where no one thought they could. "Impossible," he hissed. "They should have been crushed already." General Thrax's voice answered from orbit, harsh and desperate. "They will be. Their line is breaking. Humanity cannot last against this many," and he was right. On the dunes, human tanks began to falter. Ammunition ran low. Engines overheated. Alien waves pressed harder, swarming over ridges, blasting through defenses. The line of steel shook under the pressure. Inside his tank, Rez's crew exchanged grim looks. A gunner wiped blood from his face. The driver slammed a fist against the console as alarms screamed, "We can't hold forever, Commander." Rez's voice was calm, even as shells shook the ground around them. "We hold until the last. If Earth's enemies want this desert, they will pay for every grain of sand." But deep in his eyes, he knew the truth. The line was breaking. Alien walkers surged forward, towering machines with glowing cannons. They fired into the human line, tearing tanks apart, reducing dunes to ash. Alien soldiers poured through the gaps. Roaring in triumph, the human desert fleet fought back with everything they had. But they were being pushed back, step by step. The line bent. The line cracked, and in that moment, Mara Saeed gave the order. Her voice cut through every cum, sharp and final. "Deploy it." The ground trembled. Not from artillery. Not from walkers. From something far greater, the beacon's glow flared so bright it blinded both armies. The sands split open, collapsing into vast craters. Alien soldiers screamed as dunes swallowed them whole. Then, from beneath the desert, titans rose. Massive war machines, larger than anything the aliens had ever seen, emerged from the sand. Colossal tanks with rail cannons, longer than city streets. Artillery platforms that locked onto targets in orbit. Their armor gleamed with the mark of Earth's skull with wings. These were no ordinary machines. They had been buried here for decades, waiting, hidden beneath the desert like sleeping giants. Human soldiers cheered as the Titans rose. Alien troops froze in terror. Even the mighty walkers looked like toys beside them. Commander Reza's voice thundered across, comes filled with steel. The desert has teeth. Now it bites. The Titans fired. Rail rounds as bright as suns streaked into the sky, tearing through alien fleets. Plasma shields shattered. Carriers exploded. Alien formations collapsed in chaos. On the ground, the Titans' cannons obliterated walkers in single shots. Alien soldiers scattered like ants before fire. The desert became a graveyard of metal and ashdot. In the council chamber, silence reigned. Ambassadors stared in horror as humanity's hidden weapons rose. Their arrogance, their laughter, their scorn, all shattered in an instant. The high speaker whispered, voice breaking. They were never weak. They were waiting. The Titans of Sand marched forward, their cannons glowing brighter with each strike. Alien fleets broke, alien armies scattered, but Marasad's eyes stayed cold on the hologram. She knew this was not victory. This was only the beginning. Her final order echoed across the battlefield. Advance. The desert is won. Now we march for the stars. And in the distance, the human armada shifted course. Straight toward the alien capital, the desert burned with the wreckage of fleets. Alien war machines lay shattered across the dunes, their twisted frames glowing in the night. The air was thick with smoke, fire, and the echoes of war, but the beacon pulsed still, steady, relentless. Louder now. As if the desert itself had a heartbeat. The buried Titans had risen, smashing alien armies, but General Marasat knew this was not the end. She stood in her command bunker, eyes locked on the hologram. Above the dunes, more alien fleets gathered. Drawn in desperation, ready to throw everything into the battle, they still believe they can win. One officer whispered. Mara's face was stone. Then let them come. They haven't seen the weapon yet. Commander Reza Khan stood atop his tank, watching the colossal human Titans march forward. Their cannons roared, rail rounds ripping holes through alien lines. The desert thundered under their steps. Yet Reza's gaze was fixed not on the aliens, but on the beacon. His crew looked uneasy. Commander, what is it really? That thing under the sand? Reza's voice was low, almost reverent. It is our answer. The weapon they swore we would never build. The beacon pulsed once more, then cracked open. The ground split wide. Dunes collapsed into a vast crater, swallowing hundreds of alien soldiers. From the abyss rose something that made even humanity's Titans look small. A warship, but not built for space. This one was forged for both desert and sky. Its armored hull stretched longer than a city. Its cannons were the size of towers. The beacon had been its heart, its engine. It's called the dreadnought of the dunes, buried in secret, built in silence, hidden from every alien eye. Humanity had forged it in exile, beneath the sands. It's waiting for the day they would be mocked one time too many. The dreadnought's engines roared to life. Sandstorms exploded outward, burying alien armies where they stood. Its cannons rotated, locking onto the alien fleets above. And then it fired. A single blast pierced the night sky, tearing through 3 alien destroyers in one shot. The explosion lit the heavens, burning brighter than the moons. Alien fleets scattered, their formations breaking apart. Alien commanders shouted in panic, "It's impossible. No species could hide this. Not under our eyes." But humanity had. The council chamber was chaos. Ambassadors shouted. Generals cursed. The high speaker clutched his chair with trembling hands. They were weak, he whispered. We called them fragile. We thought they were nothing. Ambassador Lare of the Ilari, her silver feathers trembling, spoke the words none dared to admit. No, humanity was patient. They were watching. They were waiting. And now. They are rising on the battlefield. The dreadnought advanced, cannons firing into orbit, tearing apart the skies. Humanity's Titans marched at its side, rail rounds hammering anything that moved. The desert fleet pressed forward, pushing aliens back mile by mile. Commander Rez's voice echoed through Cums, proud and unshaken. "This is the price of underestimating Earth. You thought us weak. You thought us prey. Now you will remember us forever." Alien morale shattered. Soldiers fled into the dunes. Fleets retreated, breaking formation. Entire empires that once laughed at Earth now watched their armies burn. The desert, once thought lifeless, had become a graveyard for the arrogant. But Mara Sade was not finished. She looked over the hologram, narrowing as alien fleets tried to escape into orbit. "Don't let them run," she ordered. "The desert is done. The sky is ours, and next." Their capital. Her officers stared in shock. "General, you mean?" Her voice cut like steel. "Yes, we take the war to them. For every insult? For every scar? For every laugh they threw at humanity? We end this." The dreadnought's engines roared again, this time not just for battle, but for ascent. The massive war machine lifted from the sands, rising into the night sky. Its cannons glowed, its hull burned with fire, and behind it, humanity's entire fleet formed into position. Together, turned toward the stars. Alien commanders watching from orbit felt their blood run cold. What had started as a battle in the desert was becoming something greater. Not defense. Not survival.conquest. The human fleet, dreadnought at its head, broke through the atmosphere. The alien capital lay far ahead, its lights glittering across the void. In the council chamber, silence fell one last time. Ambassadors stared at the growing shadow of humanity's armada on the hologram. They were never weak. The high speaker whispered, voice cracking, they were the storm. And across the stars, as humanity's fleet advanced, a single message echoed through every channel. We are humanity. We do not bow. We do not break. And the galaxy will never laugh at us again.